Do you know what's missing from our freedom of speech? Oversight. That's right, that's the opinion of law professor Tim Wu, who wants YouTube to hire regional experts to make sure none of their videos would start any embassy attacks, even though, of course, they never have. I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta, and here to take a look at the latest attack, a real one, on our most important freedom, Scott Ott and Bill Whittle. All right. Tim Wu wants Google, that's YouTube's owner, to hire these regional experts to avoid disseminating hate speech to volatile regions like the Middle East or the Middle East. We're not talking government censorship here, more like a company adhering to community standards. Scott, aren't social conservatives in favor of community standards?
Well, we're in favor of applying community standards where community dollars are being used to buy community resources like, for example, textbooks in a public school or something like that. But we're not in favor of imposing our narrow view of the world on other people using the force of government. You know, it's funny, I just heard a little snippet from President Obama's speech to the United Nations, and he seemed to be, and I'm taking this out of context, but he seemed to be suggesting to the people in the Muslim world that, you know, with everybody having a cell phone these days, it's just impractical to try to control what can be said, because with a press of a button, you can publish something on the internet. So he was actually making the argument not from moral principle, not from natural rights, not from God-given rights, but the argument from the technical difficulty of being able to squelch free speech, which, you know, if I had my druthers, I'd like to do.
And if this guy had been president 50 years ago, we never would have gotten to the point where there's a video camera in your cell phone and an internet to upload it to. All right. Bill, YouTube, you know, they already banned pornography, animal abuse, drug abuse, bomb making. Why not ban hate speech?
Well, as you well know, Steve, the residents of the Middle East are some of the most tolerant and secure people on the face of the earth. Hardly anything ever gets them upset. So it's got to be an extraordinarily wide provocation, like this gigantically widely seen film, which of course is a product of the United States government, fully supported by all the American people, in order for them to actually reach the level of outrage where they'll, you know, maybe vote it thumbs down on the YouTube thing, or barring that, maybe go out to an embassy and climb over some walls, murder, sodomize, and kill a few of our people. So yeah, let's just make sure we keep this in perspective. Now, this job, this oversight job, is part of Barack Obama's failure of the green economy. We all know the green economy, which we were promised would provide millions and millions of jobs, been an utter failure. But Barack Obama's new yellow economy is going to provide all the jobs we need. There'll be oversight positions for people to monitor your free speech so that no one gets upset about things on the far side of the other world populated by these 7th century savages. There'll be any number of other oversight and tracking jobs that'll be available for Americans here in the yellow economy, an economy based on cowardice, an economy based entirely on the idea that everything we thought we believed in is utter nonsense and should be given away at the drop of a hat.
Yellow economy. All right. Scott, under Wu's proposal, YouTube users themselves, as a community, would decide which videos could stay and which should go. Oh. Shouldn't they be allowed to decide what might rock the Casbah?
Well, I think they should be allowed to identify those people who have posted the videos that are unacceptable to the community and take that person and find out what kind of person they are by floating them in a water trough. And if they sink to the bottom, then they are evil and they need to be disposed of. And if they float on the top, then they are evil and magical and need to be disposed of. I mean, this is just amazing to me how these people immediately jump to the assumption that the problem here is the video. The problem here is too much free speech. The problem here isn't people whose theocratic, dictatorial religion has driven some of them mad with violence, and that we, you know, who's talking about squelching that? Nobody's talking about squelching that. In fact, at last week's Trifecta, we said, hey, come to America where you can preach Islam on the street corners. Just don't punch anybody or cut their heads off. These lawyers are going to destroy our country, and one of their main advocates now sits in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Don't cut anybody's heads off. Is that too much to ask? Bill, Dr. Wu is an ordinary guy, just trying to find a way to let some people help other people stop from offending dangerous people. Is his idea lovely, or is it sly?
He's not an ordinary guy, Steve. He's an elitist D-bag like the rest of these elitist D-bags that have constantly been the forefront. They've been the vanguard of the destruction of every civilization on the face of the earth. It's always these people, always them in their ivory towers that don't understand a single thing about the prosperity and the security that was bequeathed them and do their level best to destroy it at every opportunity they get. I find Wu extremely offensive. I don't want to see his face on YouTube, and I don't want to see his name on the internet. I want him removed from the internet because everything he says is deeply, deeply offensive to me and to the millions of other people who feel the same way. I think Wu needs to be put in jail because I think his ideas about endangering free speech are abhorrent to me and they hurt my feelings. So, if these are the standards that the community is going to enforce, those are the results that I'd like to see obtained. And quickly, too. I want him gone. I want him arrested. I want him put in jail for these vile, vile, vile ideas about limiting other people's free speech. And I never want to see his name on the internet again because it hurts my feelings.
Remember the days when we got to laugh at the Nutty Professor? I missed that. All right, folks, the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law. It doesn't say anything about YouTube making rules or hiring regional experts. But just last week, Egypt's new president, a member of the radical Muslim Brotherhood, said that in order to keep Muslims happy over there, then we Americans must change over here. And Tim Wu jumped out and shouted, "Okay, let's get behind that." Now, the good people at YouTube seem to understand this. So do you. But so does a would-be tyrant like Tim Wu, which is exactly why the progressive left is so eager for you and for YouTube to surrender your freedoms. And they don't care if you lose your freedom to government or if you lose it to the tyranny of consensus. For PJTV, I'm Steve Green.